Rephidim means resting place or a place of Sabbath. Okay. Before we go to that, we were talking about manna, and God said, "I give you manna. 6 days you gather manna. On the 7th day you don't gather manna." So already, God showed them when the Sabbath is, right? Sabbath. So when is the Sabbath? When is the first day manna fell? 16th day, right? Right? 16 is then Sunday. 17 is Monday. 18 is Tuesday. 19 is Wednesday. 20 is Thursday. 21 is Friday. 22 is Saturday. So you can continue to count like that to find out when was the Sabbath during the wilderness. And that's in book 8. All calculated how long, exactly how many days the wilderness was and what happened in the wilderness of Sinai. This Friday you might be able to see little hints of that. Rephidim was kind of like this oasis, supposed to have water and everything. But when they arrived there, the water was all dried up. It was during the time of big drought, and so the originally abundant water was not there. And so when there's no water there, what do? Grumble. Again, they started grumbling. They continue to grumble in the wilderness. In regards to their physical needs, usually it's not about spiritual hunger and thirst they grumble about. It's the physical things. When we have expectations and greed for the physical things and that expectation is not met, we start grumbling. Have you ever? Do you complain more about physical hunger or spiritual hunger? How long have you gone the longest without food? 3 days? 7 days. 7 days. Anybody more than 7 days? Anybody for 14 days? 20 days. Fasting. 40. No food, no water. Water. Okay, water is. If you don't drink water, you die. No food for 40 days or 20 days. Oftentimes, people, when we go, we usually eat 2 or 3 meals a day. When we don't have food, when we're hungry, for about 2 days, people get weak and grumpy, right? How long have you gone without spiritual food? What's the longest you've gone without spiritual food? After 40 days or 20 days, did you feel like you're gonna pass out, die? Feel like you cannot really do anything. You're on the bed praying. It's only by the help of the Holy Spirit and the strength that God gives us when we fast that we can actually survive. Physically, the doctors say it's really difficult for a person to continue to survive after 20 days or 40 days. But spiritually, how long do people go without reading the Bible, eating the Word of God? When we don't eat physical food, when we don't have physical food, we complain. But do we complain about how hungry we are if we go without reading the Bible 3 days, 4 days? Sometimes we don't even feel anything. Visitation of the Holy Spirit. Sometimes we don't even feel anything, even when we don't eat spiritually. Our soul is hungering and withering without spiritual food, but we continue on as though nothing is wrong. How long have you gone without breathing? after 3 minutes, we get 4 minutes, boom, die. Right? In the Bible, breathing is like prayer is breathing for ourselves. That's why God says, pray without ceasing. We breathe without ceasing. Even when we sleep, we continue to breathe. Right? But God says, pray without ceasing. But sometimes we go more than 5 minutes without prayer. Sometimes people go more than 5 days without prayer and act like they're okay. But their soul is suffocating to death without prayer. Here in the wilderness, people are complaining because of the physical things, but God is putting them through. God puts us through these sufferings and difficulties so that we can realize. Jesus came and said, you think you see, but you're spiritually blind. You think you're alive. Jesus says, you have the name that you're alive, but you're actually dead. He's allowing us to see through the spiritual aspect. And here again in Rev.Dr.Samuel, they're grumbling. Exodus chapter 17, verses 2 through 4. Exodus chapter 17, 2 through 4. Therefore the people quarreled with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. And Moses said to them, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord? But the people thirsted there for water, and they grumbled against Moses and said, why now have you brought us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do to these people? A little more, they will stone me. They were getting really violent. They were starting a riot. And Moses said, a little more, they're going to kill me. Then the Lord said to Moses, pass before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your staff, which you struck the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock at Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. He named the place Massa. Massa meaning test, because the people tested. Meribah also means to quarrel. Massa and Meribah. Because of the quarrel of the sons of Israel, and because they tested the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? You know, these people, it hasn't been 3 months since the Red Sea. Remember Red Sea? God parted, they said, oh, God is good, praise the Lord, we will only follow the Lord, God answers us. 3 days later, Mara, they taste the bitter water, they taste the bitterness in their life, there's grumbling again. Remember God's showing them, rather than grumbling, put the wood in there. Pray to me, ask me, then I'll give it to you. They didn't learn the lesson, they got hungry, they grumbled. God said, tomorrow I send you food. God sent the food, they said, what is this? Right? But they still ate, they tasted it, and they said, so good. So they got greedy, so they had gathered more. God said, only one portion for each person, 1 day's portion. They got more, and the next day it had worms in there, maggots. So they threw it away, they gathered, they learned together, it tasted good, they liked it. And that's about Alush, Dovka and Alush. We see that they like the food so much, they want to stay and really continue to eat. Is that what you wanted to do at the cafeteria? You want to stay and continue to eat? But God said, hurry up, let's go. So they came to Rev.Dr.Samuel expecting there's going to be water. We ate enough, there's going to be water. And then there's no water. By this time, they should have learned the lesson. By this time, we should learn the lesson and say, God, there's no water. So we pray to you, we believe that you will give us water. But again, they forget. You know, one thing about when we are in ministry, I'm not saying bad things about our congregation, but sheep are very forgetful. Did you know that? Sheep are forgetful. Sheep, two things, there are many things, but I'll share only two things about sheep. Sheep, when they go and they come back to the same road, they're like, wow, new place. They don't realize they're coming on the same road, same path. Okay? Why? Because they only follow the tail of the sheep in front of them. So the sheep in front of them is very important. Same thing with us. The person who's leading me, the person who evangelized, brought me to church is very important. I'll do the same thing. In US, many Koreans go to US to live there. They migrate there. And there was this thing, and part of it is true. They pack up everything and then go to US. They don't know what kind of job what kind of work they're going to do. Do you know what kind of work do you find? What decides what kind of work you will do? It's the first person that picks you up from the airport. If he has a cleaner, laundry cleaners, dry cleaners, he will say, oh yeah, dry cleaner is pretty good, I'll teach you, I'll hook you up with people, and so you become a dry cleaner owner. If the person has, restaurant, you have a restaurant. In church too, the person that leads you will basically have a lot of influence. If the person is grumbling all the time, complaining about church, the next person will learn. But if the person who is leading and evangelizing is always thankful, this next person will become thankful. So we leaders have to be careful about what we say. Just because pastor's not there, just because elder's not there, we talk. You know who learns? Usually, it's people who finish church, coming back home, driving, wife in the car, children in the bed, talking to my did you blah blah blah, gossiping about the deacons and members. Who learns? The children are listening. They will learn. The sheep will follow the other sheep. And if that sheep falls off the cliff, this one will fall off the cliff. Who are the instigators all the time? It's the mixed people, rebels. People whose minds are split. Part of it in the church, part of it in the world. And that part in the world is feeding on the greed and the physical needs. But God said, you stand. You come to Mount Horeb. I will meet you at the rock. He says, pass before the people and come, and then verse 6, I will stand before you there on the rock. Okay? So what's happening is, God is saying, there's going to be a rock, a big boulder. Okay? Moses, you come. Stand with the staff. God says, I will be here, standing. I will stand on the rock, and I'll meet you. What you do, strike the rock, and then it will provide water. That rock, in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. Okay. We'll read from verse 1. For I do not want you to be unaware, brethren, that our fathers were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moses. Remember, that's the Red Sea. They were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, which is manna, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they were drinking from a spiritual rock which followed them, and the rock was Christ. So this rock represents Christ. Remember what Jesus said when Jesus was on this earth? John chapter 4, when he met the Samaritan woman. He said, the water that I give you, you drink and you will never thirst again. People were thirsty. We are thirsty. People out there are thirsty because they don't have the purpose of life. Are we thirsty? That woman who had 6 husbands, right? She had 5 before that, she's living with the 6th one. Her life was not satisfied. She was still thirsty for something. And she was looking for answer here and there with men, with people. She was rejected. No wonder all those 5 men used her, abused her, left. And she's probably living with the 6th one. Nothing. Who's going to be her 7th husband? Jesus is saying, forget. Not physically, but receive God. Jesus came as the bridegroom, and she represents us, the church. We've had our men or our partners in the past that have rejected us. The world is our past husband. Our sinful old self is my past husband. The 5,000 year, 6,000 year history is our past husband. Jesus says, I am the 7th one. Come to me. I'll give you the water, which you will drink and never thirst again. And then in John chapter 7, he again says, those who are thirsty, come to me. And from the belly of those who receive me will flow out the spring of water, water of life. And this Jesus who said, I am the water, he on the cross, what's the 5th thing that he said? He said 7 things on the cross. 5th thing he said is, I am thirsty. He became thirsty on behalf of us. Why? Because he's experiencing the fire of hell on behalf of us. And that fire makes us thirsty. He became thirsty because he replaced us in a place where there's no solution. We're always lost. There's always troubles. And Jesus took our place in there. And that's why he was thirsty. He says, I am the one that will give you life. On the cross, Jesus was struck. And the blood of Jesus became the spiritual drink for us. Jesus said, I give you my body, eat this bread. I give you my blood, drink this wine. This rock represents Jesus' body being struck to provide water. Ever since this, until the 32nd campsite, this is how many? This is 10. Until the 32nd campsite, there's no complaints about water. Thirsting. Why? What happened? Did they have water bottles everywhere? Did they have water everywhere? Why did they not complain? We just read 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4. It says, they were drinking from a spiritual rock which followed them. How did the rock follow them? There's, again, according to the Jewish writings, some say the rock was floating, and like cloud giving water. Another view is from the rock, the water flowed out, and that water became a river and continued to follow the Israelites. Some say that the rock was rolling, following wherever the Israelites went. And that's the first rock and roll. We don't know how the rock followed. But this is telling us Jesus. continues to follow us, providing us water to quench the thirst of our life, of the sinful world. We go out there, we get scorched, we get thirsty, but He becomes our continuous, He provides continuously the water that we need. Right? One thing that we need to think about here. Let's turn to Isaiah 48. Verse 21. They did not thirst when He led them through the desert. He made the water flow out of the rock before them. He split the rock and the water gushed forth. There is no peace for wicked, says the Lord. And then Psalm 105, verse 41. Psalm 105. He opened the rock, and water flowed out. It ran in the dry places like a river. So it says it ran like a river. And then Psalm 78, verse 20. Psalm 78, verse 20. Psalm 78, verse 20. Behold, He struck the rock, so that waters gushed out and streams were overflowing. Behold, He struck the rock so that waters gushed out and streams were overflowing. Can He give bread also? And will He provide meat for His people? People were saying. And Psalm 114, verse 8, 114, verse 8. Who turned the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a fountain of water. Rock is not something that gives water, but this grace of God, the water is like the grace of God. God gives to us from Jesus Christ. And why? This water, there's another time when God provides water from the rock. Do you remember? This is not the only time in the wilderness that God provides water from the rock. I mentioned in the 32nd camp, until the 32nd camp they did not complain. There is no record of Israelites complaining about water. It's because in the 32nd camp, they complain about water again. But over there, we'll take a look. Numbers chapter 20. Numbers chapter 20, verse 8. Numbers chapter 20. Verse 2. We'll read from verse 1. Then the sons of Israel, the whole congregation, came to the wilderness of Zin in the first month, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Okay, camp number 32 is Kadesh. Now Miriam died there and was buried there. There was no water for the congregation, and they assembled themselves against Moses and Aaron. And the people thus contended with Moses and spoke, saying, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished before the Lord." Wow. You know, how many? It's been a while now. It's been more than 1 year. It's been more than 39 years. Now they're saying, oh, how great would it have been if we had died earlier? just because they're thirsty again. Why have you made us come up from Egypt? This is 38, 39 years ago. Why have you made us come up from Egypt to bring us in this wretched place? It is not a place of grains or figs or vines or pomegranates, nor is there water to drink. Then Moses and Aaron came in from the presence of the assembly to the doorway of the tent of meeting, and fell on their faces. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Take the rod, and you and your brother Aaron assemble the congregation, and speak to the rock before their eyes, that it may yield its water. You shall thus bring forth water for them out of the rock, and let the congregation and their beasts drink." So Moses took the rod from before the Lord, just as he had commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, "Listen now, you rebels. Shall we bring forth water for you out of this rock?" Can you hear Moses is upset now? "You rebels." Then Moses lifted up the hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and the water came forth abundantly, and the congregation and the beasts drank. What's wrong? What happened? Is there anything wrong here? Yes. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you have not believed me to treat me as holy in the sight of the sons of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I gave them." Wow, this incident caused Moses and Aaron to not able to, that they cannot go into the land of Canaan. What's the big deal here? What did they do wrong? What did God say? God said, "Because you have not believed me," number one, "to treat me as holy in the sight of the sons of Israel." Right? Two things. What do you mean, you have not believed me? God said, "Speak to the rock. I'm going to give you water." But what did Moses do? He did it twice. The old habit. Sometimes we like to do the things the older way. Okay? Oftentimes the old way is good way. But then when God says, here's your instruction. But Moses remembers, last time I struck the rock, water came out. Maybe I strike the rock twice, more water will come out. I don't know. He was upset, he was mad, he was angry. Right? God says, "Speak to the rock." He didn't believe. You know, what would Moses say? "Oh, I believed. We say, "Oh, but I believed." Remember Abraham? He had Ishmael as a result of disbelief. But he said, "I believed. This is the way I wanted to fulfill it." But if we do not do the things according to God's ways, even if we think we believe, then God doesn't count it as we believe. We have to do it in the way that God teaches us. God said, "Speak to the rock." And then what did Moses say? He said, right before striking the rock, he said, "Listen now, you rebels. Shall we bring forth water for you out of this rock?" Who's giving water here? God's giving the water, but he says, "Shall we, me and Aaron, shall we bring water for you?" Pastors, this is something that we have to be very careful of. This is not our word. Even if we have the power or the gift of healing or whatever, it's not my power. The ability to preach is not our ability. Everything is God's. Everything is, the blessing is, it's God giving the congregation the blessings, not me, not us. Moses, by mistake, but that mistake comes from what's in there. What's in there? He said, "Shall we bring water?" And that's why the Lord says, because you have not believed me, you have not treated me as holy in the sight of the Lord. Up to now, Moses was good at saying, the Lord is giving you. One thing, this is one of the things that Reverend Abraham Hart taught for the first time in history, is that these two rocks, the first rock, it says, represents Jesus Christ. What about the second one? First rock was struck. That speaks about Jesus' sacrifice, Jesus' cross, crucifixion. Then who's the second rock? Huh? Jesus said, I will come back. Right? I will come back. And that second rock is different in its nature. The second rock, I'll show you. The first rock was at Rev.Dr. The second was at Kadesh. This was early Rev.Dr. at the early stage in the wilderness journey. At Kadesh, later stage in the wilderness journey. For Rev.Dr. God says, strike the rock. For Kadesh, God says, speak to the rock. Ask and seek. It will be given to you. Will you crucify the Lord when He comes back once again? Will you strike the Christ, the Lord, when He comes back? Here, the original language in Hebrew, the rock is sur. Okay? Sur means boulder, rock on the ground. Okay? It's a one-piece boulder, one huge boulder. But then, Selah is the Hebrew word for the second rock. And Selah means cleft in a rock. It's open rock that has a lot of openings and bruises, cuts, right? This is one solid piece of rock and massive. This is split, used as refuge. People running away was able to hide in the rock because it had many holes and cracks. This is a type of the first coming. This is a type of the second coming. This is speaking about, Sur is speaking about the miracle by striking. But Selah is miracle by speaking, by the word. In the more immature faith, some action needs to be taken, some physical phenomena need to take place in order for people to believe. But as we mature in faith, we have to get into the Word. Not only seek for miraculous things and signs. Jesus said, you perverted generation, you only seek for signs and miracles. Signs and miracles are good, but when we mature faith is the kind where we understand God through the Word and mature and come to know and have fellowship and relationship with Him. Mature faith that depends on the Word, not always on outward miracles and showing actions. Helps understand the Word, dying of old self, and sacrifice myself for the proclamation of the Word. Moses was not able to do that this time. There are fruits of evangelism. This Selah is a loft, it's like a cliff, it's a lifted rock, while the boulder is a rock on the plain ground. It speaks about the first coming on the earth, second coming from above. And so, let us try to live our lives to not crucify Jesus again. We have crucified Jesus already. And we have benefited from the blood that gushed forth from that rock. But next time, we don't do the same thing. Next time, we should be more mature. We should be able to speak to the Lord. We should be able to listen to the Lord and follow what He tells us to do. Amen? And after that, we come to the wilderness of Sinai. Wilderness of Sinai means forest of thorn bushes. And this wilderness of Sinai right here, this is the climax of the wilderness journey. This is where things happen. It's the 11th camp. And this is where God had told Moses where did God appear to Moses? Mount Horeb. Mount Horeb is another name for Mount Sinai. It's the same place. See here? Mount Sinai, Horeb. Okay. In the Bible, the names are used interchangeably. God met Moses at Horeb, and He said, "Go, bring the people. I'll wait for you here. I'll meet you here." And so the Israelites arrived on the first day of the third month. Okay? First day of the third month, according to Exodus chapter 19, verse 1. Okay. It says, in the third month, literally, but the Jewish understanding and interpretation, also according to the Hebrew, and according to many different evidences, we can see that it was the first day of the month. And Moses started to go up Mount Sinai immediately, as though he knew God is waiting. So as soon as he arrived the next day, he went up Mount Sinai. Okay? How many times did Moses climb Mount Sinai? I give you assignment. Okay. Read from Exodus chapter 19 all the way and try to count how many times Moses goes to God and comes back to the people. Okay. When Moses is speaking to God, he's up at Mount Sinai. He has to go up to Mount Sinai to speak to God. God says, "Go back, speak to the people." Okay. You find that out or read that. Tomorrow, if you have the right answer, you get a reward. This one is not a test. This is assignment. Okay? Read, find out from the Bible. Actually, never mind. maybe the first person to answer me, first person to tell me the right answer will get it. Not all will have the right answer. Okay? I only have one vote. But what happened at Mount Sinai? Okay, a few things. First, they stayed there for about a year, and God gave them the law, the tabernacle, and the 10 commandments. And also God gave them instructions to build the tabernacle. Okay, for that homework is for home, not here. Okay? Don't do your homework here. Do the assignment at home. Don't be Googling. Okay? Googling, internet, they might not have the right answer. Whether you agree or not, I want you to have the answer that I'm thinking about. Okay? That's a good student. And so here, God, main things that God did with the Israelites here. Okay. First, God gave them the law. Second, God gave them the tabernacle. Third, He took census. Numbered. And the number of the people that they only count, usually in the Jewish culture, they counted only men who are able to go out into war. And that was they cut it at the age of 20 and above. And so that was 603,550 people. Including women and children and older people, they are presuming more than 2 million people. What is God doing here? He said in this. Remember this. God taking the Israelites out of Egypt, leading them to Canaan, is restoring them into, is like spiritual meaning, redemptive significance is that God is restoring them to the Garden of Eden, to the God's kingdom, and so God is trying to make them into a nation. God is bringing them back. God is reorganizing, and so. According to Exodus chapter 4, verse 22, then you shall say to Pharaoh, it says the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I said to you, let my son go, that he may serve me, but you have refused to let him go. Behold, I will kill your son, your firstborn. God is telling Pharaoh, Israel is my son. The son that God lost in the Garden of Eden is Adam. This is the restoration, recovery of God's people and God's son. They were slaves in Egypt. Just as after the fall, we human beings became slaves to sin and death. But God is saying, I'm going to change your identity from slaves to God's people and God's son. And the wilderness was a process through which God turned slaves to sin, slaves of Egypt, to the sons of God. The church is a place where we are changed from slaves of this world to sons of God. And one of the things that God does, in order to have a nation, a kingdom, and this time God is establishing His kingdom, there needs to be people. Second, land. Third, sovereignty, which is law. And of course, there needs that law is to serve the king, sovereign king. Okay. So God brings the people out and says, "You are my people," so that people taken care of. God is leading them, saying, "I will lead you to the land I promised, where we will live together." Land is Canaan. the sovereignty, the law is given here, and tabernacle is given as a meeting place between God and His people. Exodus 25:22 tells us, at the tabernacle above the mercy seat, I will meet with you, it says. And so because God has restored His people, He's numbering them. These are my people. God is equipping them, numbering them, taking the census. This 603,550 are not just people, they are soldiers. In order to have a nation, you need soldiers. You need defense. In order to enter into the land of Canaan, you need soldiers to fight. And so God is preparing them for the entry into the land of Canaan. So after that, there were other incidents in the wilderness of Sinai, at Mount Sinai. But we are going to not speak about that for now. And we'll continue with Kibroth Hattaavah. Kibroth Hattaavah is after the wilderness of Sinai. They were at the wilderness of Sinai. Here, as you can see, from the third month of 1446, they remained about 1 year, close to 1 year. 1445 BC, second month, 20th day, they left. And while they were there, the Ten Commandments, the law was given, tabernacle erected, and the first census of the soldiers was taken. And in the second, worship, there was an incident of worshiping the golden calf. We are not going to talk about that today. But so God told them to depart, and on the way, this is where Tabera is. Let us turn to Numbers chapter 11, verses 1 through 3. Numbers chapter 11, 1 through 3. Now the people became like those who complain of adversity in the hearing of the Lord. And when the Lord heard it, His anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them, and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. You know, they just received the word. They were there for close to 1 year, building the tabernacle. They, because of the golden calf, they repented. They said, we'll be good this time. Asked for forgiveness. And immediately as they started, there were people complaining. We see people who listen to the word of God. In sermon, they say amen. They were like, okay, I live well. Turn around, forget. And their life is just back to the old life. Is yours like that too? Is my life? I'm only repenting when I'm at church. I'm only good when I'm listening to the message. So turn around, I start my day. I'm back to my old self. I'm back to my greedy self. They turn around and go. They're going and. The people therefore cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and fire died out. There was at the edge of the martial array, God sent fire to punish the people. These are the people who didn't like to follow. When we do something, they don't really want to participate, but outside they are grumbling. They don't want to participate. They don't want to cooperate, but they talk. Those people were the greedy ones because after God put out the fire, they turned around and started to complain again. What? Is this believable? They just departed from wilderness of Sinai, and they complained. God sent fire to burn them at the outskirts. And Moses prayed, and God put out the fire, and they turned around and started grumbling again. What did they grumble about? Let us continue. So the name of that place was called Taberah, okay? Because the fire of the Lord burned among them. The rabble who were among them had greedy desires. The rabble had greedy desires. That's why the place is called Kibroth Hatava, the grave of the greedy. Just as Mount Sinai, God gave the law, don't be greedy, do not covet. They turned around, they became greedy, God burned them, and the greedy ones were buried there. Okay? They had greedy desires, and also the sons of Israel wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish, and they started to complain again. The rebels started it, and the Israelites, it spreads. It's amazing how the gospel, you tell one person, it stays with one person. It doesn't spread. Gossip, you tell one person, it spreads. It needs to be the gospel that spreads like that. But gospel, gossip. Which one? Gospel or gossip spreads, the bad things spread really well. So they go again on this dissertation. We remember the fish we used to eat free in Egypt. Was it free in Egypt? Are they lying again here? They had to work their butt off. They had to work all day long to get that one dish. The cucumbers and the melons, the leeks, the onions and the garlic. Now our appetite is gone. Remember I told you about this. Okay? It says, our soul is dried up. Our appetite is gone, meaning we do not have our drive. There is nothing at all to look at except this manna. Wow, that's some statement there. Nothing at all. There is nothing in this church other than Bible studies and worship. You keep on telling us to do God's work. No fun here. And then they moved on to Hazeroth. Hazeroth, okay, means enclosure, fenced around. Remember, these people lost appetite for manna because of greed. Because they are looking for something else. They are not satisfied. Without thankful heart, even the good things that God gives us do not seem good. And then they come to Hazeroth. It means village or settlement, enclosure. And there, somehow, this is a mystery. Mystery meaning secret of God. Moses takes a Cushite woman. Just at Mount Sinai, God said, do not intermarry with Gentiles. But Moses takes a Gentile. You remember Cush, Ham's descendant, Ham's son, a Cushite woman, and gets married. Miriam and Aaron, now, they have a problem with this. So Miriam starts to grumble, along with Aaron. They're complaining. And God calls Moses, Miriam, and Aaron. He says to Miriam and Aaron, come. He says, to you, Moses and Aaron were saying, we need to change leaders now. We are also leaders. Moses, we don't have to always listen to you. Right? We speak to God too. We get instruction from God too. That's when God called them and said, you guys, I speak to you. Okay? But with Moses, I see face to face. I talk to him face to face. You and Moses are different. Do not challenge. And as a result, God gives leprosy to Miriam. Let us turn to Numbers chapter 12. It continues on. Numbers chapter 12. Okay. And then Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, or he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has the Lord indeed spoken only to Moses? Has he not spoken through us as well? And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very humble, more than any man who was on the face of the earth. Suddenly the Lord said to Moses and Aaron and to Miriam, you three come out to the tent of meeting. So the three of them came out. Then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the doorway of the tent. And he called Aaron and Miriam. When he had both come forward, he said, hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I the Lord shall make myself known to him in a vision. I shall speak to him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth, even openly, and not in dark sayings. And he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? He says, I speak mouth to mouth, face to face. There's the difference in the level of leadership there. So Miriam became leprous, white as snow. She was put out of the camp. So there was another 7-day delay. But after that delay, they finally come to the campsite called Rithma. Rithma means to bind or to tie up. Rithma, we'll use the other map. Rithma is the 14th camp right here. Okay. So they came from Kibbur Hatava, Hazeroth, okay, and all the way to Rithma. Where's Canaan? Canaan border is right here. Right here. Okay. And here, when they arrived at Rithma, God said, go in. How long has it been? 1 year. On the 3rd month, they arrived at the wilderness of Sinai. They stayed there for about 1 year. And it took them maybe about 3 weeks to get to Rithma. So maybe 1 year and about 4 months maximum. It took them from Egypt all the way to Rithma. And this area, Rithma, is also known as Kadesh. Okay?